Reviews in the International Herald Tribune, and follow her on her blog jessicamichaud.com. OK, time now for Campaign Chronicles. I'm joined now by the lovely Elena Casas. She's got the latest about the presidential race here in France.
Hello, Louise.
Hello.
We're going to talk today about whether or not politicians are getting more and more verbally violent with one another and if the tension is rising too much in the campaign. Now, why is this an issue today? Well, it's because Nicolas Sarkozy got booed and had eggs thrown at him in Bayonne in the Basque country yesterday. There he is on the front page of Libération, indeed kind of running away from that crowd. Remember, he had to take shelter in a bar, which the paper said was put under siege by riot police to prevent the demonstrators from getting in. Now, what's on here on the front page of Libération is the headline, "The Angry One." Why the angry one? Are they talking about the protesters? They're not. They're talking about the president himself because of the way that he reacted to that kind of protest against him yesterday. He blamed the socialist candidate, François Hollande, kind of holding him directly responsible, even though most of the people protesting against Sarkozy probably weren't even Hollande supporters. They were Basque separatists or far-left activists. But he directly attacked his rival there, which the paper says was just sort of a step too far. They say, it's a bit of a long shot, but here's exactly what the president said.
Monsieur Hollande has announced the cleansing, if he's elected, of all the magistrates, civil servants and ambassadors who don't think like him. That seems to please his core supporters.
Now, there's a word that the president used in that, épuration. He accused François Hollande of it means kind of cleansing or even purging. Mm-hmm. He accused Hollande of purging people who were opposed to him within the civil service. Now, that's a very controversial word because it was last used in France officially to refer to the execution of 9,000 people who'd collaborated with the Nazis during World War II. So there's the connotations here, really, that are so violent, Libération explains. It's really a strong way to refer to your opponent. And it's not the first time, even this week, that Sarkozy has made quite a strong personal insult against François Hollande. He insulted his girlfriend, Valérie Trierweiler, on Tuesday, saying that she was in the pocket of the millionaire Vincent Bolloré because she presents a show on his TV channel. So the French Huffington Post, has been analysing if this is Sarkozy's new campaign strategy, basically directing personal insults at your opponent. And they've got his spokeswoman, Nathalie Cuscu-Morizet, in there because she also yesterday accused the socialists of coming up with too many personal insults. Hollande's spokesperson called Sarkozy a mix between Berlusconi and Putin, which upset the right quite a lot. So they're all sort of trying to lay into one another. And the Huffington Post says even that maybe the demonstration yesterday, the egg throwing at Sarkozy, shows that this kind of verbal discourse can lead to physical violence.
It looks like the gloves are definitely coming off. Has Hollande risen to the baits?
Well, he's trying to be as calm and diplomatic as possible. He's thinking about cutting the best presidential figure. So he's responded, as we can hopefully see, in the most calm way he can manage.
We must act in a way that reflects the serious situation we're in, never resorting to useless sniping, to verbal violence, and especially not to physical violence.
He was talking about politicians and their supporters resorting to physical violence there. It's not just Sarkozy that's been on the receiving end of physical violence this week. The socialist former presidential candidate and Arnaud Montebourg, who's quite a rising voice in the party, and his TV presenter girlfriend Audrey Pulvar got attacked, as the Nouvel Observateur reports, by Front National supporters who were chanting anti-Jewish slogans in Paris this week. Now, Marine Le Pen, the Front National leader, says she can't be held responsible for what her most far-right supporters want to do, and that she will actually sue anyone who suggests that it's her language that led to them wanting to be so violent. But, the paper does point out, the Nouvel Obs does point out that it's this kind of very strong personal insults from presidential candidates that might just be generating this sort of angry physical reaction from their supporters out on the streets. Libération also has interviewed today the former socialist Prime Minister Michel Rocard. Now, he's 81 and kind of retired from politics, so he's in a position where he can he doesn't need to follow the Socialist Party line, if you like. He can say exactly what he really thinks. And he says in there that both on the left and on the right, in all the parties, candidates are falling into this trend of insulting one another personally and basically fighting dirtier and dirtier. He reckons that's because there's no intellectual content to their policies.
Well, politics is always depicted as being quite glamorous, but actually, when you get down to it, it's pretty gritty and ruthless, really.
Well, it's certainly getting very personal. And remember, there's still nearly 2 months to go before the presidential contest. So, you know, if they're calling one another, you know, likening one another to Berlusconi and Putin now, we can only hope they don't degenerate further.
Well, we've got 2 months of this to come, Elena, so it's going to be exciting either way.
It's certainly interesting to cover, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Thank you very much, Elena Casas. That's it for today's Campaign Chronicles. Thank you for joining us. And remember that Elena's following the presidential campaign at this time every weekday here on France 24. Stay with us. More news coming up after the break.
He's a disciple of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He's also a Republican presidential hopeful. Mormons could soon see one of their own in the White House. Often criticized for their lifestyle and beliefs, who are the Mormons? They make up 60% of the population of the state of Utah. A France 24 team went to their capital, Salt Lake City. A journey to the Mormon heartland. Today, 10:10 a.m. Paris time on France 24.